White's first move. It was d4.
Yes, but then I think Alireza was being crafty. He went e6.
So we did go right back into the French because White did not opt for c4, but rather e4.
Yes, and this is a crafty move order if you have the French repertoire at your disposal, because you can meet c4 with a very quick c5 and maybe take the game into some kind of Benoni / Benko / Blumenfeld kind of territory.
Yeah, you could also throw in this bishop b4 check first without committing your knight on g8. Sometimes players throw in f5 and play for the light square bishop being fianchettoed. So it does leave room for many possibilities. But if you are not a French player, then you're actually kind of hurting yourself. And just to show a different way this can happen is sometimes people, if they start with c4 and you play the Slav defense, which looks like this, c6, d4, d5, right? This is what the Slav defense is. But if after c6 on move 1, because that's how you like to play d4, White plays e4 instead, we get into a Karakhan, right?
Pseudo-Panov.
So this is funny how move orders can sort of trick your opponent or really take them into your territory, and that's what Alireza did on move 1 by playing e6. He allowed White to go for the French, and I'm notorious for not liking the French defense from the black side, but Ivanka, these mind games, they start as early as the first move.
Somehow imbalance the game pretty early on and just provoked you to go forward.
That's a good summary of what we've seen, because if this pawn were on c3, I would say, oh, this looks quite nice for White. You have a healthy pawn chain, you have some good control of the center, but with the pawn on c5, even though I like the fact that that pawn is controlling some key squares, restricting the bishop on e7, it leaves behind this d4 pawn. The pawn's best friend is another pawn. That d4 pawn, it could be targeted later in the game, so for now, I like the spatial advantage of the pawn on c5, but perhaps later, I don't like the pawn on d4 and not having a buddy by its side.
Yeah, it reminds me of an opening that you could potentially get out of Alekhine defense, where White is invited just to come forward on the queen side, and the reasoning is exactly the same, that White, by just pushing the b4 pawn and the a4 pawn and the b5 pawn, yes, does kick around the knight, but ultimately it is the pressure against the weakness of d4 that will maintain the balance.
And we just saw a move being played. b4, b5 at some moment does seem like a logical plan, gaining even more space, but the knight can often reroute to squares on the king side, so you have to keep your eyes out for that. I think we should go back. It's only 11 moves in, but Ivanka, the reason here. And so maybe starting with the king, she
King
does it
e4.
as I was talking about it, because she doesn't want the black king to enter at all.
That okay. Nicely done. The rook. Does she? What about rook a3? Is her plan is just to go rook f3?
Or king f4, both available, because this rook still eyeing the d6 square. I think she can just go rook d8, rook d6 in that position.
Yeah. Well, the problem is rook d8 is happening regardless. And if Alireza goes passive with his rook, again, you have that rook shuffle, rook g8, then go to rook c8.
Too many weak pawns. And white with the active king and the extra pawn. And rook d7, it does stop this rook d8 plan, but rook c8 immediately scoops up the c6 pawn. So there is nothing he can do. If the clocks are accurate, he's down under 10 seconds. So he may end up losing on time, but it's the position that is really the problem.
Yeah, he moves his rook to a1.
Okay, so we see the rook going forward, and I think rook d8 is very straightforward, Ivanka. It's one of these end games where at times I'm like, okay, there's a chance, but here there is no chance after rook d8. If you can establish two unopposed passed pawns, black has no hope.
Yeah, rook d8. It's been absolutely magnificent. And the technique that she's displayed, and we've said this time and time, rook d8, and I like the careful way that she moved the rook to that square. And Alireza is coming down to 20 seconds. And there you go! Wenjun, she takes her first point against none other than Alireza Firouzja. But what a game from the women's world champion. From start to finish, she played ambitiously and she displayed such fine endgame technique.